Welcome back to the Question Your Induction mini challenge, where I'm going to go deep into everything you need to know to plan your empowered birth and avoid an unnecessary induction or plan for one if you find that you actually do need it. Because, sometimes we do need to plan for an induction. There's no shame in that. We can still have an empowered birth, even if it's not completely physiological. And depending on what we need to do, we also need to be able to know that it can be a positive and empowering experience. Just as I helped Jenny plan for her backup plan that she didn't need to have, and just as I've talked to other empowered moms and advised them and helped them in coming to their own conclusion about what they wanted to do, I'm going to do the same for you because it is induction season, and that means that you are more likely to be pressured at this time of year. Now, if you are not familiar and you just stumbled upon this video, there is an introductory video that you're going to want to check out first. So make sure you go into the YouTube channel playlist for Question Your Induction, because that's going to give you the overview. I also want you to treat this whole challenge as if you had paid $247 for it to be downloaded as a course. I'm going to be giving you additional references during this challenge. And inside of this video, I'm also going to be referencing from a book called Why Induction Matters by Rachel Reed. It's this one right here, and I'm going to be telling you about your rights. I'm also going to be pointing something out to you of how we apply this with the empowered birth method and how this leads into us being the birth consumer. You see, it's not enough to just know our rights, and it's not just enough to know about the benefits of induction versus the risks. We really need to come to our birth from a place of power instead of a place of fear. And here at Empowering Moms, I'm all about you coming to the decision on your own. You are your own best expert. Nobody else can tell you that induction is right for you or wrong for you. Only you truly know the truth about that. And through other videos, I've already talked about this in the past, so these challenges are going to be quite short. However, they are going to be packed with value, and I'm going to be referencing other resources that you'll want to check out. Because information is free, and I only charge for access to me. And I have 3 paths to empowered birth. You are on the self-study light version currently, which means that you're going through a course instead of just piecing together a whole bunch of videos. And the additional references that I mentioned, you can kind of think of them as bonuses that you get with your course. So this is the core program, Question Your Induction. And then if you want to take the deeper dive, I will give you all of the resources. I am committed to you having an empowered birth, whether you work with me directly or not, whether you get my book, Your Empowered Birth, and whether you enroll in my course, Your Empowered Birth Academy, which I will tell you more about at the end of this challenge. You can also check it out through additional masterclasses. I have done a deep dive masterclass on the natural birth traps and induction, because you are more likely to end up with medical intervention in your birth if you are already going the induction route, even if you are trying to just do all of the things to avoid an induction, which a lot of moms who want to have a natural birth tend to do. But if you aren't aware about the difference between true natural birth and unmedicated birth, you may not be aware of just how much induction can interfere with your process. I'm going to do my best to tell you what's going on with making decisions around induction. But if you do want the deeper dive on all of the risks and complications, then Why Induction Matters by Dr. Rachel Reed is one of the best books I have on that, as well as In Your Own Time by Dr. Sarah Wickham. And finally, Labor Induction, Why, When, and How by Hensi Goer. Because yes, there is a possibility that you're going to have more complications with induction. You are forcing your body to do something it's not ready to do. And so through this video, I'm going to be talking about your rights, okay? We're going to then go into how to apply that for your own empowered birth method and then I will let you know about what's coming up next in the series. Sound good? Okay. So the first thing you're going to want to know is your rights to informed consent and refusal. Depending on where you are in the world, you may have a culture that really thinks that the doctor's word is law. And even though there are certain countries where they do have more litigation, the fact is that they really can't force you into anything. But let's just for a second dive into our rights, okay? And I'm going to be drawing right from Rachel Reed's book, Why Induction Matters, into chapter 2. So the roles and responsibilities of your care provider are to tell you the reasons for why the induction is being offered, where, when, and how the induction could be carried out, the arrangements for support and pain relief, recognizing that it's going to probably be more painful. The alternative options if a woman chooses not to have induction of labor, the risks and benefits of induction of labor in specific circumstances, and the risks and benefits of the proposed induction methods. They need to tell you both the risks of not having the induction and the risks of the induction, because there are risks to induction. And finally, you need to know that the induction may not be successful and what your options would be then. In addition, the health professional offering induction of labor should also allow you time to discuss information with your partner before you come to a decision. You also need to be encouraged to look at a variety of sources of information. If they don't want you going on Google and looking up information, that's always a red flag. Always, always do your own research. And I'm going to be giving you the references to the kinds of books that you're going to want to check out because they have been verified and they are really excellent sources of information. They should be able to invite you to ask questions and encourage you to think about your options. If you feel like you can't ask questions, that you can't question the doctor, and that you can't even challenge them on their views, that's already not a safe environment for you. And finally, they need to support you in whatever decision you make, because this is your decision to make. It's not theirs. So you need to understand you have the right to informed consent and refusal. That means that they present the evidence. They tell you what the options are with them. You have the choice of saying yes, no, or counter offer. If you want to know more about that, then go check out the Essential Tips series inside of my playlist on the YouTube channel, because I actually did a whole Birth Advocacy 101 segment within the Deep Dive Masterclasses where you can learn about choosing your options and confidently saying no, as well as assessing the risks, as well as assessing what other alternatives there might be. So I've done those already, so I'm not going to go into all of that. It's already existing, so I don't need to do that. If you want that deeper dive, it is there for you. The other thing you need to know about your rights is that just because somebody says that something's not allowed doesn't mean that it's the truth. The reality is that you're going to birth your baby with or without their support. And if you decided not to go to the hospital, what are they going to do? How are they going to know that you're going into labor? If you choose not to disclose your due date to people, how are they going to know that you're overdue? The less stress that you put on yourself, the better. And go and check out some of my other videos on due dates or on induction to get more of an overview on that. In addition, if you want to know more about your rights, you may also be interested in checking out Birth Monopoly by Kristen Piscucci, because she goes deep into knowing your rights. In fact, she even has a course available. So go and check that out. Read her article, You're Not Allowed to Not Allow Me, and then that's going to help you. So now for the action step that you're going to take is you're going to take a deep breath with me first. And you're going to remember that you are in complete control. You are the birth consumer. You are in charge of your birth. And you need to write down what your rights are. Write them down, find out that homework, find out what's going on in your particular area. If there's personhood laws that you need to be aware of, if you pay attention in the mom groups, what typically happens? Do they call CPS if you don't go and induce labor? Do they also call in the ethics board to try to push you into having an induction? What is it like in your particular area? It may be a lot less volatile, or it might be incredibly volatile. And based on what typically happens, is how you're going to come up with a plan. Because it's not enough to know your rights, you also need to know what is going on in your particular area in your health authority. Now, here in Vancouver, where I'm situated in BC, Canada, we do have the rights to informed consent and refusal. Do those rights get honored? Not often. Usually what happens is there's a lot of scare tactics that happen with a lot of people within the medical profession. This is not because they're bad and wrong, although there are category 5s inside of the system, and we are aware of that. The thing is that sometimes they call CPS. If you're a person of color or you happen to be Indigenous, that is more likely to happen. If you are of lower income, that is more likely to happen. However, I'm also going to put a caveat on that. CPS doesn't actually want to be called. The Children's Protective Services, or whatever they call it in your area, they don't really want to deal with that. And the fact is, though, that the medical system will sometimes use this as basically their card that they pull out to try to trump your cards and say, nope, now we're going to call CPS because you're endangering your baby. And yes, that can be absolutely terrifying. And it's not okay. It's not right. In fact, I did an interview with Desiree Butler. She's a doula. She's down south. And she had basically spoken on CPS. So you can go and check out that interview as well. But that's your homework. Your homework today is to find out what is the individual climate like for litigation when it comes to declining interventions, including induction and C-section. The more information you have about your particular area, the better off you're going to be. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me, hello@empoweringmomsbirth.com. I don't give legal advice or medical advice. However, I am very strategic and I can guide you in where you might want to find more information. I also happen to have some family members who are in certain areas of medicine, as well as legal, as well as even in child and family services. So understanding that background, I do have a lot of information that I can impart to you. At the same time, I don't know what's going to be happening in your individual area. Your country may be different, but I do know one thing, and that is that nobody can control your birth, and you are the one who has all the power, not them. You just need to learn how to play the game and to play it so that you can actually win. Not play the game the way they usually tell you to play it, which is rigged against you. So that's what I have for you in this one. The next video in this series, if it's already posted, you can go ahead and check it. If not, it will be there tomorrow, is all about understanding and assessing your risks. And again, it will be very short. I will be referencing other things, but what you really need to know is this even something you have to worry about at all? Or is this not even like, there's no fear. You don't need to be afraid. So we'll be talking about that tomorrow, okay? Or it'll be the next video in the series. So thank you so much for watching. Have a happy, empowered birth journey, and I will see you in the next video. Namaste.